black taxi. Why does it look as it does? Recognizability, because on the street you're vulnerable. When you hail a taxi, you need to know that the vehicle you're getting into is a taxi, is a licensed taxi. There are 3 or 4 tiers in the for hire business. The top tier being the London taxi industry. And here we have a lower tier, which is private hire. And then we've got basically another tier that's come in, which is actually cutting all the corners. So in other words, has absolutely no responsibility, and the only thing that they've got most of the time is cheap. And as we all know, in this market, in this country, at this moment in time, cheap is very powerful. In the case of Uber, it's needs must. You've got a group of very, very unprofessional drivers. These are people who've just decided, oh, I can earn some money driving an Uber car. Using somebody who's not necessarily been checked properly, who's not necessarily insured properly, is something that is probably dangerous to the public. The public are being lulled into a false sense of security. The amount of assaults, the amount of incidents happening in these vehicles is too high. Now, I'm not saying that every Uber driver is a rapist or a terrorist. I'm not saying that at all, or even most of them. What I'm saying is that it brings to London an added security issue.
You have to have driving license first. Driving license, you have to be from driving license at least 3 years in Southampton. Every city is different, but in Southampton, from driving license, I think should be 3 years. After 3 years, you apply for the taxi license, and then you have to pass lots of tests, lots of courses like NVQ course, basic course, and then geography tests and driving tests. So for Southampton, it's not easy to get not very easy to get the taxi license. So after all those tests, if you pass, then you can get license from city council. I have another job, right. And so the flexibility. Uber is the safest company I found, because every single customer have to be registered to start booking Uber. Without registration, you cannot book. So Uber got all information from customers and driver. They never can run away. If anything happened, it's easy to find them. Uber is the best company to work for the safety or safety, if you're looking for safety or flexibility. With the other company, when I work, because I work part-time, so you have to pay the monthly rent. Even if I work part-time, you have to pay full rent. So I work very hard, nighttime, daytime, night, to make some money to pay for their rent, and some money leave for myself. It was hard, but for Uber, I said if I don't work, I don't pay. That's why it's better for me, especially for part-timers. Good.
And the reality is, in the taxi industry, because of the cost of insurance, of licensing the vehicle, of maintaining that safety, it's not easy to compete. No wonder the taxi drivers are angry. They spend a huge amount of time being forced, to do all these things, and all of a sudden somebody's come in and undercut them, and it's not like they're undercutting on a level playing field. The regulator has to do their job in ensuring that private hire and new entrants like Uber comply with the regulations. Every taxi driver in London believes the less taxis there are, the greater share of the cake he will get. Whereas actually, what happens is, if you don't meet demand, somebody else will. And what that has done, it's meant that the private hire industry has grown hugely on the back of it, as has Uber in London on the back of it as well. the taxi industry in London has to evolve, because to stay the same is not sustainable.